Hi yogis. So we're working on getting back to fitness. So we're doing some nice stretches, a little bit of yoga, and a tiny bit of relaxation at the end. For those who've got vulnerable knees, you may want to grab quickly a little cushion to pop underneath your knees for some of the following postures. We're going to get straight started into our practice. So laying down on your mats. Your feet are flat onto the mat, your knees are together, your ankles together, your hands, place them on your belly. And just start to be aware of your breath, your inhales and your exhales. So notice your belly rising on the inhale and falling on the exhale. So we want to really keep our focus on the breath along with the movements in our yoga, because the breath is a good indicator as to how yoga is making us feel. If it's a little bit ragged, you'll need to stop and let the breath be seamless again. So let's start with our movements now. Keep the feet flat on the mat and the knees and the ankles together, hands down by the side of the body, facing down to the mat. And then inhale the arms all the way up, nice stretch of the armpits, stretch of the arms, and exhale all the way back down. Now if your arms do not touch the floor behind you, don't worry, just take the arms a bit wider and see if that works for you. And then just two more. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, back down. This is the last one. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, back down. Draw your knees over your chest, wrap your hands around your knees and have a little roll around on that lower back on the sacrum. And we're moving into the hamstrings. So take the legs straight up to the ceiling, nice straight legs. If you have tight hamstrings, it may be nice to have the hands on the back of the thighs. And then turn the toes towards your nose and the heels towards the ceiling. So get into the Achilles and the stretch in the ankles. And maybe just give your hamstrings a nice little massage. And just welcome them to your practice, because we're going to be working with the hamstrings a little bit today as well. And then bring the knees into the chest, hands down by the side of the body. We're just going to work the legs, let the arms rest. Inhale, legs up, toes to nose, heels to ceiling. Exhale, knees to chest. Inhale, lengthen, toes to nose, heels to ceiling. Exhale, knees to chest. And last one, inhale, lengthen, toes to nose, heels to ceiling, and knees to chest. We're going to work with a bit of body coordination, so the knees stay over the chest, arms and legs work together, same flow. Inhale, arms up, legs up, toes to nose, heels to ceiling. Exhale, knees to chest, hands down by the side of the body. Two more, just warming up the body. Exhale. And then this is the last one. Inhale, lengthen, toes to nose, heels to ceiling. Exhale, wrap the hands around the knees, little rock and a roll, and place the feet one at a time flat onto the mat. Take your arms nice and wide as if you're on a cross, and drop the knees to one side. Just drop the knees to one side, and then take your gaze in the opposite direction of the knees. Come back to the center, drop the knees to the other side, and again take your gaze to the opposite direction of the knees. Back to the center, and one more. Really working into that lower back, warming everything up. And then come back to neutral. Knees into chest, rock and roll. We're going to come up into all fours, so feet flat onto the mat. We roll over to the side. We use our hands to push us up, and we come into all fours. So your hands are underneath your shoulders and your knees are underneath your hips. And we're going to inhale the gaze up towards the ceiling, and at the same time lift the buttocks up to the ceiling. We have a nice back bend going on here. And on the exhale, rounding the back, gaze to the navel. Stretch the back out. And continue that flow, so lifting up. Exhale, rounding. Two more. Feel the articulation of the spine. Feel what's happening. And then this is the last one. And then we round the back and come back to neutral. We're going to take ourselves into child posture, so we're just going to ease the hips back. You can always use that cushion in between the heels and the buttock if it feels appropriate, or you can have the cushion in front of you. Your child posture is a resting posture, so we're just having a nice rest here. Arms are strong and long, and we bow. So at any time throughout your practice, if you feel your breath is a bit ragged, you can come back to this posture, child posture, and just focus on your breath, and then join us when you're ready. So we're going to take a posture called downward facing dog, and it's important that we keep that stretch in the armpits, and it's important that we don't move the hands. Just anchor the hands, super glue them to the mat. Don't move the hands or the arms, just come onto your knees. And then tuck your toes and lift up your buttocks and draw the heels back. Going downward facing dog. The head is just hanging in between the upper arms. Now you may want to bend your right leg and bend your left leg. Your hamstrings may want you to just walk your dog. Remember, listen to your bodies. We're building strength, but if you're not ready for this, you can always come onto your knees and just stretch your legs out behind you, and then this will be appropriate as well. We're just walking the dog in any way we want, either on our knees or a nice stretch into downward facing dog. Nice easy breathing. And then slowly, knees onto the mat. And we'll take that child posture again. Nice, easy, long arms, popping the cushion wherever you need it to be. And stretch out. The next time we take our downward facing dog, we're going to take it into a hip opener. Again, it can be done on the knees. Long arms. Onto the knees. Tuck the toes, lift the knees, downward facing dog. Too much in the shoulders, you can come down onto the knees and work into the hips in that manner. If you're okay with the shoulders, one leg rises and heel to buttocks, and we twist at the waist to really open up into the hips. Come back to the center, down dog. The other leg rises, heel to buttock, and we twist at the waist to get into the hips. And feel free to come back into child posture, or just one more if it's feeling appropriate to you today. Remember, go back to child if your breath is ragged. And then lifting up, heel to buttock. And then come back to downward facing dog. And then knees on the mat. Untuck the toes. And we'll settle into child posture. So you may want to wriggle your fingers and wriggle your wrists, because you've been working with those wrists as well. And you can take your hands onto your heels if it feels nice to soften the shoulders this way. And then we're coming back up into all fours. So this is where you may want to have your cushion. You may want to have it on the knee that's remaining on the mat. So back into all fours. I'm going to tuck your right toe under and stretch away with the left leg. And the cushion can go under this knee if it feels appropriate. We're going to either stay here, engage the core, squeeze the buttocks, or we're going to go a little bit deeper and lift the leg up. Your gaze is at the front of the mat. You're gazing down. Your neck and the spine are all in line. The back leg is not too high. It's not too low. It's just that straight back we want. Engage the core. So take the opposite hand to the leg and stretch forward. Push the heel back, stretch the fingers forward. And then change sides. You're tucking the toe for stability, either staying here, engaging the core, the buttocks, Or lifting up the leg, remember not too high, not too low, gaze stays at the mat. And then stretch out that other arm if you want to, opposite arm to leg. Engage the core, squeeze the glutes. And then slowly back onto the knees and return to child posture. Just re-engage with your breath now. We're going to walk the hands back a little bit. And we're just going to open up the knees and have the big toes together. And we're just going to settle more into a hip opener and a forward bend. And maybe have your hand underneath your forehead. Or maybe have your arms long in front of you and draw the heart down. Whatever feels appropriate to you. Now walking the hands all the way back, we're going to bring the knees together. You're going to come onto all fours. We're going to take one leg forward. Knees tracking over the ankle at the front, so it's a nice straight line. The cushion can go under that back knee if it's needed. And bring the back knee in just a tiny bit. I'm going to go into the hamstrings. Take an inhale and exhale, move the hips back, take a bow. Inhale back to the center, exhale forward, hip flexors, lift up your heart. Back to the center and exhale hamstrings. Back to the center, let the knee travel forward, exhale, lift up the heart and back to hamstrings. One more, lifting up the heart and then slowly come back to the hamstrings. Now if you want to, you can lift up the toes and slide that foot a little bit further forward, really getting into the hamstrings. Take an inhale and exhale, take a bow. And then slowly draw that leg back into all fours. Tuck the toes. Let's take a down dog. Just a nice easy down dog. And then the opposite foot comes forward. And again, that cushion under that back knee if it's appropriate. Knee tracks over the ankle at the front. Take an inhale and exhale. Stretch into the hamstrings. Inhale back to the center. Lift up the heart. Knee travels forward, hips. Exhale, hamstrings. Inhale to the center. Exhale, hips. Inhale. Exhale, hamstrings. Inhale, center. Exhale, hips, lift up the heart, let the knee travel. One more. Inhale to the center, exhale, lifting. And then we'll go into that hold if you want to. So just draw the hips back. If you want to, lift up the toes, slide the foot a little bit further forward and take a little deeper into the hamstrings. Couple more breaths. And then slowly we'll bring that foot all the way back. Either take child posture or down dog. This will be your choice. So lifting up, downward facing dog or child posture. Nice easy breathing. For those who know you're under yoga and want to go a little bit deeper into strength, possibly pop a plank in. So coming into plank, shoulders over, wrist, push the heels away as soon as you get into your plank, gaze at the mat, engage the core, squeeze the buttocks and back to down dog. You can also do half plank, so you can come into your plank, knees on the mat straight away, engage the core, squeeze the buttocks and maybe lift up the ankles, half plank. So lots of choices. Back to down dog. Remember, you can remain in child posture also. Let's do one more plank. If we're feeling, we want to really build into this strength of the shoulders. Squeeze the buttocks, engage the core, push the heels away, gaze at the mat, and then all the way back to down dog. Both knees on the mat, child posture. Again, maybe bring the hands to the heels, it softens the shoulders. So one more on the knees. So we're going to bring one foot forward, knee tracking over the ankle, back toe is tucked. I'm going to take that back leg a little bit further away from us. Remember, the cushion can always go underneath the knee. Engage the core, inhale, rising all the way up. Soften the shoulders down. Nice, easy breathing. I'm going to take both arms all the way up and stretch up. And exhale down. Have a nice stretch up. And exhale down. One more stretch up. And exhale down. So put one hand on the knee and stretch the other arm up. We're going to take a little bend to the knee. So just stretching over to that knee that's forward. Come back to the center. Take the stretch again. Come back to the center and change sides. So the opposite foot comes forward. Remember, the cushion can come under the back knee. We're going to take the back leg a little bit further away, just getting into the hip flexors a little bit. Inhale, rise up. Soften the shoulders. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Really focus on the breath. Inhale. And exhale. Place the hand on the knee. Opposite arm rises up. And exhale, stretch. Inhale back to the center. And exhale, stretch. Inhale back to the center. And exhale, either back into child posture or downward facing dog. Your choices: child posture to get the breath, and possibly a hold in down dog. You can always pop that other hip opener again that we did earlier. So one leg rising, heel to buttock. Back to the center. Opposite leg rising, heel to buttock. And back to center. So from your child or from your downward facing dog, we're going to come to the front of our mats. Just finding our way slowly towards the front of our mats. Bend the knees to rise. Inhale, rising all the way up. Stretch up to the ceiling. And exhale back to your heart center. So my breath is a little bit ragged, so I'm just going to settle a little bit now to let that breath really get back to a nice neutral breath. So just a couple of standing postures for strength. The feet are together, the shoulders are down, the abdominals are engaged. Inhale the arms all the way up. And exhale over to your right. Inhale back to the center and exhale over to the left. Inhale back to the center, exhale over. Really feeling that nice stretch. Inhale back to the center and exhale over. And inhale back to the center, hands down by the side of the body. I'm going to take you into a posture called Utkatasana. Now your feet can be together or your feet can be apart. We're just going to take a little seat in an imaginary chair. So just taking a seat in an imaginary chair. You're going to check that your knees are not splaying out over your toes. Lift up your heart and then lift up the arms. So I have my knees apart, but I much prefer it for my posture when my knees are together. So let's take an inhale Exhale the hands down. Let's see which one you prefer. Feet together or feet apart. Inhale the arms all the way up. Exhale, take your seat. So you want to draw the navel towards the spine. Stretch the arms up. Keep a nice long spine. This posture works every muscle, every joint, all the inner organs of the body. Utkatasana, it's also known as fierce posture. Inhale up and exhale down. Rising all the way up, inhale, exhale. Some of you may want to challenge and come onto your tippy toes. Nice easy breathing. Take an inhale, take an exhale, and inhale, lift, and exhale back to Tadasana. So again, you can hear my breath is a little bit ragged. I'm just getting back to the journey of fitness. Whichever level we're at, all we need to focus on is what the breath is telling us. Because yoga is breath. It's not about fancy postures, it's about the breath, focusing on the awareness of what's happening in the body, but also focusing on the breath. I'm going to take that one posture again. I'm going to turn my back to you because it's a little bit easier to follow. So we're just going to have the same posture. We're going to work into the shoulders a little bit. So bend the knees. Bring your hand in front of you into prayer posture. Take an inhale. And on the exhale, take your right hand all the way behind you and have a nice twist. Inhale back to the center. Take an exhale. Take an inhale and exhale. Take the left hand all the way behind you and have a nice twist. Inhale back to the center. Take an exhale and inhale, we'll rise all the way up. And exhale back to our heart centers. So we're coming to the end of that 30 minutes. I'd like to just pop a little warrior one in just to give you an indication of how we will be moving forward. So the right foot goes forward and the left foot comes behind us. Not too far behind us. We want to have the hips facing forward. So keep your hands on your hips and bend your front knee. And you want to check that your knee is tracking over your ankle. And the back leg is really, really strong. So take an inhale and exhale into your warrior one. And then if it feels appropriate, lift the arms all the way up. Breathe. It's just an easy warrior one. It's nothing too advanced, nothing too forceful on the body. And then slowly we'll come back to the center and we'll just change sides. So again, you want to have that foot not too far behind you. Bring your hips forward. Check your knees tracking over the ankle at the front. We're not going to go too low. Remember, we're not going to do any fancy postures today. We're just building strength. You can keep your hands on your hips or you can rise all the way up. Take a long, deep inhale and a long exhale. One more. And then slowly, hands on hips, we'll come back to the front of our mats. And from here, we're going to go to downward facing dog and just settle down for our final postures. So inhale the arms all the way up. Let's bend those knees, hands on the mat. Right leg travels back. Left leg joins it, downward facing dog. Lay the belly on the mat. Or take a plank on your journey there, and then lay the belly on the mat. Hands underneath the forehead. And we soften. So hands underneath the shoulders, elbows tuck into the rib cage, and we rise through a nice slow cobra, onto the knees, and all the way back into chair posture. And then slowly we're going to come onto our backs, And finish with a nice restorative twist. So feet flat onto the mat. Draw one knee into the chest and stretch the other leg long. And the knee that's drawn into your chest, take it over the long side and just stretch here. And gaze to the right. Back to the center, knees into chest, keeping hold of one knee and stretching out the other leg. And then taking that knee into your chest over the body and gaze in the opposite direction to the knee. And then inhale back to the center and have a little rock and roll. And the feet flat onto the mat. Either keep your feet flat onto the mat or legs long. And for the next minute, I'd like you to cast your mind back in your life to some really happy moments. Maybe even moments when you actually really had a belly laugh. Just cast your mind back now to some really, really happy moments in your life. Just increasing our happiness levels. Just remember that feeling of fun and laughter and happiness. Who are you with? Where were you? We've come to the end of our practice. Feel free to stay here if you wish to. You're joining me, bring your feet flat to the mat. Draw the knees into the chest, little rock and roll, rolling over and coming up into any comfortable seated position. So thank you very much for joining me. If you're improving your fitness, see how it feels tomorrow and the day after, and maybe you want to take it down a notch, or maybe you want to take it up a notch next time we have a video, or next time you do this video. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.